Welcome to the High Tech Freedom Podcast. This is a podcast where we bring successful tech sales professionals, thought leaders, and entrepreneurs to share best practices, insights, and lessons learned with other tech sales professionals. As a sales professional, the more we learn, the more we earn. Once we earn it, how can we put those hard-earned commission dollars back to work to build additional income streams that will create the freedom we are all working to achieve? I'm your host, Chris Freeman. I'm a high-tech sales leader, real estate investor, and lifetime learner. All right. Well, welcome to the High Tech Freedom Podcast. I'm Chris Freeman, and we have another exciting episode for my sales friends out there. Now, you may have heard about the power of storytelling. Lots of people have talked about it, but as a sales professional, are you really maximizing that power in your sales efforts? I know personally, this is an area that I've always needed to work on and wanted to work on. It just naturally, I just have never really considered myself a great storyteller. So I am really excited for my guest today, Howell, who is known by his clients as the world's most industrious storyteller. He's done such a fantastic job helping grow many brands as much as 600% using a proven storytelling framework that we'll talk a little bit more about here in a minute. He's a professor. He's taught storytelling for the Executive Masters of Sustainability Leadership at Arizona State University, really showing business leaders around the world how to advance their social initiatives further and faster through the power of storytelling. In fact, just in my own research, I found a speaking keynote that he was doing for a nonprofit around, I think it was some water quality, where he was sharing the stage with some other really well-known actors. He's also been coaching the U.S. Air Force leadership on how to connect with recruits, commissioned officers, staff, and Congress. And I can't imagine that's an easy task. And then finally, he's trained many sales and marketing teams for such diverse and iconic brands as the Home Depot, Dell, I know we have some Dell listeners out there, Banner Health, and Carvana. So lots of background. So listen up. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. Park, welcome to the High Tech Freedom Podcast.
Hey, Chris, thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, pleasure is all mine. Wait, I just would like to, let's just jump right into the topic of storytelling.
Okay.
So I heard you on another podcast, and I've reviewed some of your content, and you talk about the ABT. Why don't we just start off with what is ABT?
The ABT stands for and, but, therefore. Now, a quick little backstory here. When I started really studying story in business and sales and marketing, it was circa 2002, 2003. And our son was going to film school at Chapman University. I asked him to send me his lectures and his books when he was done with them, since I was paying for them, because I wanted to know what Hollywood knew about storytelling to see how we might use it in the business world. I found The Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell's Heroes, monomyth, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. I mapped it to business and created the story cycle system to help craft, brand stories. And it's a 10-step process. And I thought, oh man, Chris, this is so awesome. I can just share it out with the world and people can do their own stuff. Well, turned out that didn't work so well. The system works fantastic. And like you said, it's grown brands by as much as 600%, but it's complicated. So then I started looking at what are easier ways to share storytelling with, business leaders, sales and marketing folks. I found the 5 primal elements of a short story for big impact. And these are elements that you can follow, that you can tell a story in under a minute, have that kind of impact. Yet even that was a little bit difficult. And then in 2013, I found the ABT, the and, but, therefore. 3 words that enable you to start building this narrative intuition around setup, problem, resolution, or what we call the 3 forces of story of agreement, contradiction, and consequence. And you can use the ABT in all of your messaging, from your most basic tweets to focusing a sales presentation, to actually focusing your brand position statement in the market. And so the ABT is just that. All of my training I do always begins with getting people to truly understand what the ABT is and how to make it work. Because then once they've got that down, they can build on and understand these more complex structures, which are really powerful. They're just hard to get your head around when you're first getting into it.
Okay. Well, I know it's so common for many sales reps to jump into their messaging, or even the marketing companies to jump into their messaging. And it's all about the company, how great their stuff is, all the things that they're doing. Even I've been on lots of sales calls. A sales rep will throw up I call it the brag slide, right? Look at all the customers we have, all the great things. That is not what your messaging is. That is not what your structure is about. Why do you can you break it down a little bit about the three components, how it works?
We'll start with, you had mentioned Home Depot early on, and I was doing some work with their sales teams a few months ago. And one of the guys in that session said, Park, now that you've taught us the ABT, what's the simplest ABT that you can share? And here it is. You communicate and care, but bore. Therefore, tell a story. And I do that with tongue in cheek and have some fun with it. But we all know we've been in those presentations that are boring, because that salesperson is leading with, features and functions, charts and graphs and data. So what the ABT does is it does two major paradigm shifting things for your communication. Number one, it places your audience at the center of the story, and I'll explain how you do that in a minute. And number two, your story is not about what you make, because nobody cares about what you actually make, your little widget and whatever, but what you make happen in people's lives. And so the ABT is a framework when you've got a presentation to give. For instance, let's say it's a sales presentation, and you're going to go in and you're going to solve 10 different problems for your audience in this sales presentation to demonstrate what a marvel your product or service offering is. We say, stop, don't do that. Find the one problem that you are going to solve for in that presentation. You can hang a few other problems off of it, but you're looking for that singular narrative. And that's what the and, but, and therefore does for you. It makes you stop and think about, what am I going to singularly focus on? So Chris, it's set up this way. The and is the first statement, and we call it the statement of agreement. You are trying to paint a brighter picture, a shared vision for what a better tomorrow looks like, to get your audience nodding, saying, yes, Chris, that's exactly what I'm looking for. The but is a statement of contradiction, but you don't have it because of this. The therefore is a statement of consequence. Therefore, you are going to be able to get this by doing this through us. So it places your audience, as you had mentioned, at the center of the story by focusing on what they want and why it's important to them in that statement of agreement. But the contradiction, here's why you don't currently have it. Therefore, here's what it's going to feel like when you get it through us. Now, the us, the brand, the product or service, does not come in until the very end of your and, but, and therefore statement, because you play the role as mentor or guide in their story. They are the hero of this particular journey. And it's like foolproof when you use it and you really figure out how you get this down. It's amazing how it works.
So is this more of a kind of the traditional elevator pitch, or maybe when you're talking to the client for the first time? Where do you work this into the sales discussion typically?
Well, it does begin with a traditional sales or elevator pitch, but here's the difference. It's a one-floor elevator pitch. You can deliver an ABT in under 15 seconds to focus your audience so they know exactly what you're talking about. And why it works, I mentioned that the setup, problem resolution, or the three forces of story of agreement. Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. That's what I want. Contradiction. Oh my God, just triggered the limbic brain. What do we do about this? How do we close that story loop? And then the therefore is that statement of consequence. And again, our subconscious limbic buying brain loves it, because this is where the pattern seeking cause and effect brain is working to try to figure out, what's the problem here that I have to help this being overcome? So you're really cutting right through this executive functioning frontal lobe, and you're hooking right into that subconscious where all of our real buying decisions are being made. And that's the power of the ABT. So you would use it maybe first to get you focused,
Hmm.
first to get your audience really leaning in. And then as you're going through your presentation and you're introducing new elements of your solution, every time you introduce a new element, you want to start with an ABT. What is the problem we're solving for with this particular element? And then therefore, how does it work to solve that problem? So
Got
you
it.
use the ABT throughout, really.
Okay. So yeah, it's instead of doing your traditional features and benefits, it's framing up that segment, that component
Forget
of,
about it.
yeah. But I will say though, going back to the the opening up the meeting, maybe the first discussion, right now in the field, it's really hard to get meetings. I mean, people are so spread out. Customers are getting hammered with email, social media, just the massive amount of inside sales desk people out there making calls. It's just hard to get seen and get noticed and get their attention. So when you do get somebody on the phone, or when you do get that discussion, or you meet somebody at a conference, wherever it might be, this is where I think that ABT is so valuable, because you have really, just a short amount of time, 15 seconds, to get their attention, to get them to lean in. And then where do you take it from there?
Well, let me share a couple ROIs with you on the ABT, since I'm throwing acronyms around willy-nilly. I've been doing a lot of work with a high-tech company called Trimble, and they are a global SaaS provider to the heavy construction industry. And I taught their team about the and, but, therefore back in March. And then they brought me on as a story coach. And I was working with 5 of their different countries with their LinkedIn emails or LinkedIn messaging, and trying to increase the engagement. So what I would do is take the content that their writers would give me, and I'd just reorder it in an ABT. So March, they did it their old way. In April, they did it using the ABT as I helped them reorder that content. They had engagement go up by over 400% across these different countries. In France alone, it went from like a 4.2 engagement rate on LinkedIn, which really isn't bad, up to 17.5% engagement. The only thing they did differently was to reorder their content using an ABT. And as you had mentioned earlier in the show, they were making the same mistakes that everybody makes.
Mm-hmm.
They were leading with the brand. They were leading with how wonderful they were. And they were leading with, what they could do eventually for you. And we flipped that on its ear. We wrote it from the reader's perspective. What do they want? Why is it important to them? But why don't they have it? Therefore, here's how you're going to get it through Trimble. So you can use this to help increase engagement with your emails too, and hopefully dial back that ghosting a little bit.
Yeah.
Write your emails using an ABT. It's got a built-in call to action in the therefore statement. So literally, you can use this anywhere you're communicating and trying to hook the limbic brain of that person sitting across from you.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I did watch your the short training that you had offered up, and I was sending an email today, an internal email to one of my team members, and we're working on kind of the second half plan. And I was starting the sentence off with, for our territory review, I would like you to do this. I'm like, stop, let me reverse it around. And what does he really care about? He cares about getting a club next year. He cares about, for his first full year, making that a pretty significant achievement to make club. So I was trying to reframe it using your method, and I followed it. And, I think, the resistance level went down because it was all about him versus, all right, here's another thing my manager's asking me for, and then shutting down before I ever got to the content and the meat of why I was doing it. And I probably would have had it totally reversed had I not followed that approach. So just an example of, you can use it anywhere. Well, Park, can we go just maybe each section? Let's start with that opening piece. Can you give me a quick example, another example of maybe, an
ABT in action?
Yeah, kind of part by part.
Yeah. And Chris, you were kind enough to take the ABTs of selling online course. I shared it with you so that we had something that we could be talking about here, and I could share some examples and you would have a better sense of what the ABT is. Let's do a really quick example of Sharp Electronics, since you're in the high tech world. Working with 130 of their sales and marketing folks about a year ago in a virtual training, and was teaching them the ABTs. And all I typically have to do, and I'll ask your viewers to do the same thing, is go to one of your landing pages or even your homepage on your website and see if you made the same mistake that we all make and that Sharp was making, and then see if you can make it into an ABT. Here's an example. So I went to one of their landing pages, Document Systems, and I won't even read the whole thing because it goes on, but you're going to get the feel for it. For years, Sharp document products and solutions have been earning high praise and prestigious awards from leading MFP testing organizations. For Sharp, this represents more than just an accumulation of accolades, blah, 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 blah. It's all about them. It's all about how wonderful they are, and that you should just naturally understand that they would be the go-to people by pounding their chest, basically. So I went in and said, but look and feel how different it is when you take that same landing page and that same copy and reorder it using an ABT. Let me read it to you. Something like shorter runs, quicker turnaround times, complete control over your in-house printing. It's what you want. That's the statement of agreement, our AND statement of agreement. Here's the problem. But your productivity is currently stuck on pause. Therefore, Sharp digital MFPs and copier printers will have you printing like a pro with our industry-leading innovation, user-friendly design, outstanding reliability, and boundless expandability. So I was able to boil that content down by 2/3, still get a chance to get in why they're so good, but it's all written from their audience's point of view. Now here, Chris, is the coolest thing that happened with this. I gave this presentation on a Thursday afternoon. Following Monday, I get an email from the sponsor that brought me in, and she was sharing an email from one of their national sales reps. And he's like, I don't know what it is with this ABT, but I literally lifted it from Park's presentation, put it in the front of my presentation. I've been trying to close this book of business for 5 months. I have been getting nowhere. But as soon as I led that presentation with that ABT, there was an absolute change in the energy in the room. I got them leading in, and within an hour, I had the deal. And he goes, the only thing I did differently was the ABT. So that's an example of using the ABT in sales. And as you had said, what it does, it places the reader, the prospect at the center of the story. What do they want? Why is that important to them? But why don't they have it? If you build enough conflict or contrast between what a brighter tomorrow looks like and why it's miserable today because you don't have it, they will give you all day for your therefore statement and how you are there to help them get it.
I love it. I love it. I hope you are enjoying this episode. I wanted to break in with a quick commercial. During the podcast, we sometimes talk about how to invest those hard-earned commission dollars so that you can build that freedom we are all working towards achieving. Now, I built that through 20 years of real estate investing. Now, recently, my team helped me put together a webinar on how top sales pros can create passive income and achieve financial freedom with hands-off real estate investing. Now, I'm still doing this. And as I continue to invest, I'm giving opportunity for others to learn and invest alongside of me. So if you want to learn more, go check out our webinar at hightechfreedom.com/webinar. That is hightechfreedom.com/webinar. We will also put the link in the show notes. Well, I was, I think I mentioned to you, I took your course and I was thinking about my High Tech Freedom brand. It's like, all right, well, if I was to do it in the and, but, therefore process, what would that look like?
Let's hear it.
I don't know. I was really struggling with this, I will admit. So
let me ask you this before you read it.
Yeah.
What were you struggling with? What were the hard parts of it?
Well, I think actually the therefore piece.
Okay.
I think, there was two pieces. On the but, I was getting too wordy.
Mm-hmm.
And it might still be too wordy. And I was trying to capture too much in the conflict and too many issues. And then on the therefore, you talk about, I think you talked about with the therefore having your what the solution is and then how it works. Mm-hmm. I think I had flip-flopped it to how it works and what it is. I don't know if that's the worst thing in the world.
No.
But Here's just a little bit of background. So my whole High Tech Freedom brand, it's about free education and helping tech salespeople out there crush their quota. The more you learn, the more you can earn. And the more you can earn, you can create additional commission dollars to go then invest it in ways that'll help create additional income streams to help create that freedom we're all looking for. So that's kind of the goal of my podcast is help people out there. Let them also know that let them know that I'm in the real estate business, and that, give them an opportunity to find me and align with me in the process of learning and crushing their quota. So Here we go. All right. The tech sales professionals work extremely hard to exceed quota and striving to build financial freedom. Okay. So that was my opening, but they find the traditional 401ks or stock market is not delivering, and they have little time to buy or operate any type of real estate investment. Therefore, and this is where I think I might have had it backwards, but therefore, they should leverage free educational content. Oh, hold on. I changed it a little bit. They should leverage free educational sales content like the High Tech Freedom podcast to crush your quota, while aligning with experienced real estate investors that can help provide strategies for passive income.
Okay.
So, all right, Park, awesome. Tear it apart.
Chris, no, great start. And by the way, if you feel like you're a little bit wordy when you do these things, that's totally cool. That's what always happens is you're just trying to collect your thoughts. Anybody writing one of these ABTs, and they're going to be long. We call that an informational ABT because you're just trying to get it down on paper. And then you go to what we call the conversational ABT, which begs the question, what is the one problem that you are solving for your audience? In this case, is it savings? Is it instead of the stock market and 401ks and whatever, investing in real estate to grow out a portfolio?
Yes. No, it would be, hey, leaving your W-2 when you want to leave it. Being able to have that freedom to leave the tech sales role and pursue your family, pursue your travel, pursue hanging out with your grandkids, whatever it might be, that freedom to have that option to do whatever you want.
So the problem you're solving for is they feel trapped currently in their role. Is that right?
I think that's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
So they're trapped as a high-tech sales professional.
Yeah, they
feel trapped.
They're hooked on the commission. They've lifted up their lifestyle, and they need to keep working in order to maintain that lifestyle. They don't have enough in the 401k to give them that freedom and that option. So they're definitely trapped.
Okay. So this is a great way to build it. Once you write all that stuff down and you're trying to figure out what's my central theme, I want you to go to the but statement and say, what is that one thing you're solving for? They feel trapped. And you can revise this too, but I'm spitballing here because we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
They feel trapped. Now let's go to your statement of agreement. Who is your audience? And I want you to, Chris, come right out and say it. You are a what? High-tech sales professional?
You are a 45 to 50-year-old high-tech salesperson. Let's just say a 50-year-old tech salesperson.
So you are a seasoned high-tech salesperson who has had a lot of success and earned a lot of money in the process to buy your freedom, and right. You've got the freedom of having a lot of money, but you feel trapped because why do they feel trapped?
Well, they've lifted up their lifestyle up to a point to where the 401k can't maintain the same level of income if they were to leave their job.
Okay. But you feel trapped because if you were to leave your job, your traditional investment strategy will not fund the lifestyle you have become accustomed to. Something like that?
Yeah. Well,
therefore, enjoy the freedom and even leave that job while making even more money by doing what? By what? By investing in real estate?
Yes.
So, through your proven investment program or something like that.
Correct.
All right. Correct. So how does something like that sit with you? And then we're going to go and dissect it a little bit.
Well, I think that definitely cleans up what I was putting together in terms of a message.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's much closer to the real problem and a more clear solution.
So financially, they're feeling trapped. Here's a way out is what you're going to give them. So you're a seasoned high-tech sales professional. and you've enjoyed the freedom of earning a very, fine income and built a lifestyle that you really cherish, but you're trapped because your traditional investment models will not uphold the lifestyle you have become accustomed to should you leave your job. Therefore, you can have that lifestyle and more by investing in real estate through my proven investing program,
Yeah.
whatever that might be.
Right.
So that your, the next chapter in your life will be even more glorious than your past career. Something like that.
All right. Well, there you have it, Park. I really appreciate the on-the-spot coaching, and very uncomfortable for me to throw that out there, but thank you for doing that.
You did great, man.
Yeah, thank you. Well, hey, as we get close to wrapping up here, you've been doing this for a while. What have you seen change from maybe the way sales messaging was being done? I don't want to put a period on it, but let's just say in the past to now. What's changed, and what do salespeople need to be more aware of?
Yeah, I've been in the advertising, branding, marketing, sales world for 35 plus years. And when I was a newbie into it, and through the first several decades, it's always, they say, lead with the problem, get that problem down, whatever. And that works. But what we have found with the and, but, therefore is what works more powerfully is this paradigm shift of don't lead with the problem. Lead with what a bright future looks like for tomorrow. Then introduce the problem and why we've learned that is important. And maybe you've seen this in your own world, or your viewers have too, is sometimes when you lead with the problem, you as the consultant coming in know what the problem is, but your customer may well be in denial. And they're like, screw you, Chris, that's not the problem at all. You don't understand anything we're doing here, right? If you lead with the problem and they're not yet buying into it, even though you know that's the right problem you're solving for, you are going to build up this divisive relationship and are going to have to try to mend it immediately. We have found if you can paint that picture of what they want, which means you got to do your homework, understand what they want and appreciate why it's important for them, lead with that. And even if you're wrong, it's still positive. And they go, yeah, Chris, you're right. That would be awesome. But what I really want is this. Boom. You go, okay, cool. You want that too, but you get them agreeing. That's why it's a statement of agreement. Then you insert the problem.
I see.
But you don't have it probably because of this. Now, all of a sudden, you may have identified a problem that they don't want to deal with, but they'll have a hard time pushing back at that point because you've already built that trust by understanding what it is they want. So that's the main thing is do not lead with the problem. Lead with a brighter solution of what they want, but then insert that problem. And if you build that contrast like we talked before, they'll give you all day long for your statement of agreement what your solution looks like for them.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I do think a lot of salespeople are traditionally trained to start off by, lead with the pain and then, poke on that pain as much as you can and then solve it. And so, you're really saying lead with the bright future and get them buying in, and then you can dig into the pain.
That shared vision of what we all want sitting around the table here.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Park, anything else that you would like to share with the audience today?
If they want to try the ABT on their own, I've got 3 quick little online classes, and they can choose between any of them and go to Business of Story. That's my website, my hat, businessofstory.com/ABT. They're going to find the ABTs of selling. I believe that was the course you took, and that's an 18-minute quick course. What'd you think of the course, by the way? How'd that work for you?
It was great. You know what? And honestly, printing out the worksheet and just forcing myself to go through it. I'm going to do it also for my tech sales job, but I didn't want to expose all of that competitive information there. But if I was a sales rep, why would you not go fill this out and just improve your own messaging as you go to market? It's a no-brainer. So I thought having that form while going through it was fantastic.
And it's only 18 minutes long, so you can get through it quickly. And then while you're doing it, it's designed so you can build your own ABTs as you go. And then I even invite people like yourself, when you did it, email me your ABT when you're done with it, and I will give you some quick online coaching added value. But we've got the 3 courses: ABTs of selling, ABTs of branding. Sometimes people take either one, both of those. And then I've got a little bit longer course called ABTs of agile communications. And that is really designed for more leadership storytelling, 3 20-minute modules that really take you into a very much of a deep dive on the ABT. That's become very popular too.
Okay, that's great. And so for my listeners out there, listen to what Park just said. He's offering to review your ABT, and I know a lot of people won't take that extra step to send it, but I mean, that is incredibly valuable because you just saw what I did, right? I drafted up mine. It was way too verbose. And right there on the spot, he gave me some valuable input. And it's like, hey, why would you not take advantage of that? And that's the type of stuff that we're all on a quarterly annual quota. That's the type of stuff that can make an immediate impact this week, today, on the next sales call you go on. So I highly recommend go do it and get his feedback.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Sorry, I have my sales coaching hat on there. Sorry, I'll move on. All right. Well, Park, if somebody would like to reach out or get hold of you beyond the training course, what's the best way to make contact?
Yeah, probably through LinkedIn. My name again, Park, P-A-R-K, Howell, H-O-W-E-L-L. Real easy to find there. Go and ping me on LinkedIn. And if you want to do a connection, let me know that you heard me on Chris's show, so I know who you are and why you're coming in. And of course, if you have any questions whatsoever, be happy to cover them there, or I can give you my email at that point, and we can, talk there or talk offline at some point.
Well, that's fantastic. Park, really appreciate the time today. I found it incredibly useful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Take care. Thanks again for joining us today. To get more sales and real estate tips, you can subscribe to our newsletter at hightechfreedom.com. You can also join our private Facebook and LinkedIn group that is exclusively for sales professionals. If you found a nugget of good information in the podcast, please subscribe, give us a positive rating, and write a review. If there is a topic that you would like us to cover in the future, please send us a note through our website at hightechfreedom.com. Until next week, make this your best week ever.